Good morning. Happy Wednesday to you, May the 13th. Hope you're having a great morning, off to a big start and getting to the hump day portion of the week. This is the morning donuts with sprinkles quick edition here, and got a couple things we're going to get into this morning. South Carolina baseball last night losing to Winthrop in the final home game of the season. That finally might have been rock bottom. I thought a few weeks ago they couldn't hit it. Turns out they hit it. They found rock bottom, I believe. One more series left in the season. Also, we'll get into the Atlanta Braves last night. They rough up the Chicago Cubbies, and that's coming off a series they won against the LA Dodgers. And then finally, yesterday, Shane Beamer gets a new 4-star wide receiver commitment out of the state of Pennsylvania. I'll tell you all about that. Plus, hit a daily devotional this morning and a dad joke of the day. So let's get going here with South Carolina baseball last night, where they lose to Winthrop. And a couple weeks ago, I said, well, at least they're not having rock bottom moments. At least we've gotten out of that from the Pullman era. And I take the blame. Apparently, me saying that produced several now rock bottom moments, being swept by the Citadel, now losing to Winthrop at home in the final home game of the season, senior night. There's nothing else to say about this baseball team. Monty Lee is a great guy. He's a phenomenal guy. I can give him some praise for the effort that he has put into this program, but that doesn't make him the right guy for the job. And I know I've said that multiple times, but I think if there was any doubt, it came, in these last 9 games. So they're on a 9-game losing streak. And I think all along we had been wondering when this team would cave. Look, nobody wants to lose a coach. The whole season has been a disaster. The whole thing is up in flames. It's like the Griswold house during Christmas. We're not keeping ourselves in the house for Jolly Saint Nick to come flying down the chimney. So no, we're out. The house is burnt down. The Christmas tree's gone. All the cigars for the uncle are gone. The whole thing is a disaster. So it is what it is. That means somebody's going to start basically from scratch next year, and we'll talk more about coaches in the coming days. Just some numbers. South Carolina was 12-11. They were 0-4 in conference on the night or the morning, depending on what you believe, that Paul Maneri was let go. Since then, 30 games have now been played, and South Carolina is 10-20, 7-13 in conference play. So they did win some conference games. As a matter of fact, again, you can give credit to Monty Lee for something. They won more conference games in his 20 conference games coached, 30 total, than they did in the 80 games that Paul Maneri coached. And that would be a 6 and roughly 29 record for him. And at least at this point, Monty Lee is 7-13. Not good, but hey, let's try and have some kind of silver lining on this. But they are on a 9-game losing streak, and the season is lost. It doesn't matter. You go to Vanderbilt this weekend, then you start next Tuesday, probably the 5:30 game. They'll probably get the 15 seed in the SEC tournament. So that's South Carolina baseball. The next time we really talk about South Carolina baseball, we will be talking coaches. We'll be starting to break down the names that we are truthfully hearing as potential candidates. Kevin Schnall obviously being one, and we'll get some other names as well that, again, are at least being kind of put out there as candidates. That's Little Gamecock baseball. Let's go to the positive. If you're a Braves fan, oh my goodness, look out. 29-13 as we sit here on May 13th, one quarter of the way through the season. And the thing that stands out to me now is the absolute talent of the pitching staff. And last night, what really caught my attention was Dieter Fuentes. And what really stuck out to me was during the broadcast, I'm kind of watching, I'm keeping up with it. I got both games on the Gamecock game against Winthrop and the Braves game, and I'm listening to the Braves game. Was that Dieter Fuentes will be 21 years old in a month. He is 20 right now, and he is having himself, for a 20-year-old. Now, mind you, again, we're being honest. Expectations aren't great, but he's 20 years old. He's into the major leagues so far this year. 15 2/3 innings, 19 strikeouts, 5 walks. Last night against the Cubbies, he throws 3 innings, gives up no hits, strikes out 3, walks 1. He's got a rising fastball. I can't remember exactly what they called it, but essentially it defies gravity and rises on the way to the on the way to the plate, which is unconventional for batters to see. You think about the Braves' depth. You get Strider back. He was fantastic in LA. Chris Sale lost on Friday night, but Chris Sale. Bryce Elder, Grant Holmes. We're still waiting on Swallenbach to come back later on in the season. There's several other guys I can point out that for the Braves have been absolutely great. Martin Perez is 2-2 on the season, but he's got a 2.38 ERA. Then you start to go into a little bit of I know we got Ronaldo Lopez on the season, is pitching really well, 2-1 on the season with a 3.71 ERA. I mean, the pitching for the Braves is just absolutely ridiculous right now. And again, you get a guy like Fuentes, who is 20, who is a young dude and has a chance to continue to develop. How do you fit him in there along with all these other arms? And again, Swallenbach's not due back until July, probably August, something in that nature. But you talk about this team making a run. Well, it'll be really interesting to see what they do and how they perform over the next 3 months, June, July, and August, setting up for September. Pitching depth is there. Pitching depth is absolutely there, and it'll be fun to watch. So the Braves win tonight, or last night, over the Cubs, and back on the mound, back in action tonight against the Cubs. By the way, for those of you that kind of aren't paying attention, this would be taking down league. I guess 2 of the 5. The Rays, the Tampa and New York in the East are 27. Each have 27 wins. Tampa's 27-13. New York's 27-16. But you got to go to the National League next. The Braves, best team in baseball, 29-13, and then right behind them is the Cubs, 27-15 in the East, and then you got the Dodgers, 24-17, coming off of taking 2 or 3 from them, and the Padres are 24-16. So the Braves with the best record in baseball, and then now taking down 2 of the better teams in the National League in the Dodgers, and at least getting game 1 from the Cubs. And again, tonight on the mound in Atlanta, it'll be another really good pitching showdown. Braves, again, just as I just mentioned, having so many guys that are throwing so well. But tonight on the mound in Atlanta, you've got J.R. Ritchie going for the Braves. Shota Imagana, you get the point, going for the Cubs. So that'll be tonight, and will be fun to get into there. So we'll talk more about that as we get going. Also, let's go to the final subject of the morning. These donuts with sprinkles are going to be fast-paced, just little morning segments. I've got some other things planned. We will have what's called a Sandy Beach sessions. That is what the great Frank Martin podcast that some of you have listened to was. That is also what the Sit Down with Heath Klein was. Any Sandy Beach session that I do here will be lasting about an hour. The Donuts with Sprinkles will be somewhere in the ballpark of 10 to 15 minutes each and every morning. Just a quick, hey, here's what I thought from last night. Here's what we got going. And these will be released each and every morning at about 7 to 7:15 for your listening pleasure as you're heading to drop the kids off, heading to work, whatever it may be. Of course, we're going in the summertime. Hopefully you're not taking the kids to summer school. But that is this morning's. Right now, we're doing the Donuts with Sprinkles. And I got 2 new segments we're going to add to this. But let's get to the football real quick. South Carolina lands a commitment. Javion Robinson, 6'2", 190 pounds, wide receiver out of Pennsylvania yesterday. McKeesport High School is where he is from. Gamecocks beat away Rutgers and Syracuse for his commitment. He did have other really good offers, Georgia, Florida amongst them, but really Syracuse and Rutgers were the 2 other teams really pursuing him. So being a former recruiting nerd and geek, I would say if you're talking about him with your buddies at the water cooler this morning, like, we beat out Rutgers and Syracuse. He is listed as a 4-star, but he's also outside of the top 400. And I'm not putting on the kid, but he's outside of the top 400 according to 24/7 Sports. Now, maybe he develops into something really good. I do think, 2 things here. He plays in a wing T offense, so he doesn't really get to show his wide receiving skills. If you go see his highlight video, it's a lot of one-on-one opportunities, and he's really good at going up and out maneuvering the defensive back. He also shows some really good speed when he has it. So, okay, you're looking at limited film in a wing T offense, and he shows good hands, the ability to get the ball in one-on-one situations, and good speed. That's a good start. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good start. But that wing T offense certainly will hold back his ranking and any highlight clips. But Javion Robinson, again, 6'2", 190 pounds. Gamecocks beat out Syracuse and Rutgers for his. And again, in this day and age of the recruiting of the transfer portal, I don't know what some of these commitments mean. You get a guy like this, you hope he's going to stay 2-3 years, build depth, and develop, and then turn into a good player. And if you want an elite guy ready for college, you either got to land a 5-star or you got to go out and then land a high profile transfer. And that opportunity obviously will be there come December and January. So we'll see where that goes. But again, South Carolina gets a commitment. They move up the recruiting rankings a little bit. They're still kind of outside of the top 30, I believe, depending on some numbers here or there. But not real worried about the recruiting rankings right now. Let's see where they are at when we get to mid-June, mid-July, going into fall camp in August. Final two things of the day. I want to do this every day. Again, you're watching and listening to Donuts with Sprinkles. Thank you as always. Make sure you subscribe on Apple and Spotify. This is under my new venture, which is Across the Bar Sports. Again, we will have three different type of podcasts on here. This is the Donuts with Sprinkles, as I just mentioned. We'll have the Sandy Beach sessions, which is a little homage to Sandy Beach, right around the corner from me here on the lake, on Lake Murray. And we'll do that. That'll be the long form interviews that last 45 minutes or longer, such as the Heath Line interview and the Frank Martin interview. We'll have one coming up later on this week with another guest that y'all be very familiar with. But make sure you subscribe to Apple and Spotify. Across the Bar Sports. Across the Bar is where you can find it, I believe. All right, let's go to our daily devotional of the day. Now, obviously, I've been very public and transparent about what's going on with me and this kidney disease. And so certain quotes that I've hit before, especially after this past weekend and being in Charleston and the potential kidney transplant that did not go through, that's okay. And here's the reason why. Today's devotional from Jeremiah 29:11. I think I've put this out there before, but for I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And that's fitting as we do today's Donuts with Sprinkles. Obviously, Monday I was in Charleston. I did more of an update on my health and what was going on yesterday. I was just taking the day off. I'm taking some time off from the radio right now to kind of get myself right. Still enjoy doing this because it's 12 to 15 minutes and not 3 hours. But I'll be excited to get back to the radio show, whether it be Friday or Monday. But this quote right now stands out a lot. It's something I got to hold near and dear in my heart because I question the Lord's plans at times and wonder, why are we doing this? What are we doing? And what's going on? And I have to remember this. I probably ought to get it tattooed on me. That's not just for health reasons. It can be for relationships. It can be financially. Me personally, again, I'm trying to be here and be as transparent as I can be. I've been through a divorce in my life. I had a long-term relationship post-divorce. And obviously, when you get divorced, it didn't work out. And then the long-term relationship didn't work out. And I believe that even though at times I wanted it to work out, God had a plan for me. He has a plan for me. He has a plan for her too. And that plan was not for us to be together. And even though it kind of stunk, it wasn't a lot of fun. I have to believe that He has plans to prosper me, not to harm me. And He's got a hope and a future sitting in front of me that I'm excited about. So it's a really good quote for me right now as I kind of readjust and get some emotion back after what happened this weekend and kind of move forward. And again, daily devotional: for the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. I believe in that. I firmly believe in that. Like I said, that really need to be a part of my morning reading, if you will, my morning reading, to really understand that. And even when I'm upset and I don't feel like things are going my way or something goes against me, that I really wanted, I have to believe that it's the Lord's plans and that He's going to take care of me. And I'm a big believer now in positive thinking. And, that's something that I want to have moving forward is a real positive mindset. And I'm really working on it. And so this verse fits in with that. So there's your daily devotional. Final thing of the day. I'm going to add this. I got a request to start doing this from someone. They said they'd start listening. So she hears this. There you go. You make sure you let me know that you listened. But the dad joke of the day. Here, let's get that up on the screen. The dad joke of the day. So I'm going to start doing this every morning. Give you something to tell your kids or your wife or your coworkers. And so here's the dad joke of the day. This is up for maybe I have to get some sponsorship for this or something. I don't know. All right, here's the joke. My wife asked me the other day where I got so much candy. So my wife asked me the other day. So you tell somebody, hey, my wife asked me where I got so much candy, and I said I always have a few Twix up my sleeve. My wife asked me the other day why I have so much candy, and I told her I always have a few Twix up my sleeve. There is your dad joke of the day. So there's your Wednesday morning, May 13th. Donuts with sprinkles, right at just over 15 minutes. That'll be the usual way we do things each and every morning, and I'll make sure to have these up again around 7:15 a.m. You have a great Wednesday. Absolutely beautiful Wednesday. Remember, the Lord is with you, and thank you for listening and watching the Donuts with Sprinkles edition here on your Wednesday morning.